and welcome to episode 358 of the Awesome Comics Podcast, the place where the small press makes one hell of a big noise. I'm Vince Hunt, and joining me, as always, is the creator of the webcomic Vanguard, Dan Butcher.
Hello.
And he once bought a packet of cheese and onion crisps for Kenneth Branagh. It's Tony Esmond.
Did I tell you that rubbish? Because that's not true.
Well, the thing is, I thought, rather than... I think what I might do is I might do a completely random fact about... About a celebrity that could be truth or could be lies.
I did that recently. Someone said to me, how do you know John Tucker and how did you get to do a comic strip with him? And I said, I bought his cousin's couch off her and John delivered it. I just randomly thought of that fact. And they went, okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But because
fair enough.
There's a realm of possibility there, isn't there?
Yeah.
That could happen.
I've got a few plans. So when someone says, how did you get to work with Rachel Ball? I said, I don't know you know this, but she's got a corgi certification. And she came around and fixed our boiler.
Nice.
Going so specific
to
the corgi certification. Amazing. But Rachel, if you are free, we may need some plumbing.
Yeah, our hot water's gone.
Got a problem with the pilot light.
Oh dear.
Come and top me up.
Welcome to the show, everyone.
Yeah.
It's just the three amigos this week. We're just going to be talking comics. We're going to be delving back into the world of comic book covers, as we like to do every few months.
It's like 2 years since we did one. It come up one of those Facebook memory things.
Wow. Okay.
No, it isn't.
No, we've done one since, but that's one we did was like 2 or 3 years ago or something. Come up, so.
Really?
The last one we did, was it with Dave Kennedy?
Yeah. We did one with Gareth before that, didn't we?
Yeah, that's the one. Not the one where Dave wasn't. I just want to clarify that.
Yeah. Sorry, Dave.
I'm going to come up with if you've listened to the show thinking, oh, they're going to talk about something spicy. You were caught by a clickbait title, because I'm sure I can think of something like, is the art of the comic book cover dead, or something like that.
Yes.
There's comic book covers are shit.
Yeah.
I really like these titles, Vince. I think you should even go even harder into them.
Yeah.
It's quite surprising. Hopefully that draws people in, and then they spend time with us and realise that we've actually got something worth talking about, rather than just...
Wait till we get to episode 382. It's going to be Roe v. Wade.
Sam Webster did a tweet where he recommended various comics, and we were the various comic-based podcasts, and we were at the top. And it was something like 3 blokes moaning about comics. I was like, yeah, I guess that's pretty fair.
We do moan occasionally.
Yeah.
It's meant with love. We love the medium.
Oh yeah, because we do love the medium, and certainly we're going to recommend some lovely stuff and talk about lots of different comic sort of items.
I've got some poetry to recommend later.
Oh my word!
Wow.
Yeah, there's a comic as well.
Yeah.
Okay. Right.
First off, thanks Sam for the shout out.
Yeah.
Brought anyone to the show.
Like
Welcome. Yeah, this week we're going to be talking about some comic book covers, and there is going to be some visual reference. We're not really going to be talking specifically about, look at this bit here, so that you won't know what we're talking about. We're going to try and do it as best we can. We'll give you the names of the titles, etc. But there'll also be PDFs that you can download, or maybe like an image online, so you can see what we're referencing.
Yeah, if we stick a JPEG in with a tweet or the social media post, I'm sure people can.
Before we get going, we should say probably we've got some new listeners, because we've got a bump. Thanks to Mr. Miller for last week.
Yes.
So thanks to him, and if you are a new listener, buckle up.
We've had lots of lovely feedback, and thanks for everyone who kind of got back to us.
Thank you for all the kind words. And
thanks for Mark for the kind words, and for retweeting it and promoting it and stuff like that.
There was some comments they missed you, Vince.
Yeah, definitely. We all missed you, babes.
Yeah.
You know that. Yeah.
It's nice to be missed. I had something poetic in my head, and it disappeared as soon as I said the first line, and I thought
got a bit of a clamp.
I'm just gonna leave this here.
Got a bit of mosh.
But one thing that wasn't
emosh.
Yeah. Totes man. I got totes emosh. And Tony probably got emotional.
Oh, in my pants.
Yeah, but we'll talk about that in a minute, because I almost skipped the...
Jumped over the sponsors.
Dan's done us a schedule.
I know, but it's in the chat, and I weirdly just look directly ahead when I do this. Yes, thank you as always to our lovely sponsors, Comic House. You keep the lights on this show. Actually, I might need to put a light on. The sun is here. The summer is here.
So professional.
And so, like, I don't need to like put lights on at the moment, but I know about halfway through the show,
you have to put one on.
I might disappear for 10 seconds.
Just use the torch on your phone.
Oh, yeah, that's what all the kids do.
Haunting quality as it shines from beneath you, Vince.
Yeah, well, no one's going to see that, are they?
Yeah.
But if you hear me go, ooh,
you get into character.
You know it's happened. But that might be because I'm so scared about all the amazing comics that you can find on Comic House. Yes,
pretty impressively done.
Thank you. The indie comic marketplace with a difference, because they actually genuinely love indie comics and they just want you to read as many as physically possible. On comichouse.com, there's a huge selection of titles. Creators can list their books on there, and it's another avenue to get their books out into the big wide public. They also, if creators out there have digital copies of their comics, they can put them on the Comic House app. Yes. It's awesome. It's being added to all the time. Basically, it's a subscription service. Isn't everything these days. But it's like Netflix for comics. For the price of one comic a month, you get access to an enormous library of digital indie comics that's being added to at the moment. And Dan, what's on there at the moment?
Well, I thought I'd highlight the publisher Snowy Works, who did the Monster Cleanup Guy issue 1.
Nice.
They also done Wall Breakers issue 1. We've got Calazar's Clock volume 1. I laughed at that before, so that's we've got Caspian Porter issues 1 and 0 on there, and Future Sci-Fi Tales volume 1 issue 1. And there's several volumes of that, so that looks awesome. Yeah, so go check out this and many others.
Why did you laugh about Casper's Clock, Dan?
Calazar's Clock.
Calzar's Clock.
Calzar. What's up with his clock?
Calzar. Did you have a
It's
problem
got story synopsis. A tale from the future. A man visiting Mexico City where his wife finds an old-time clock shop. He meets Calzar, a lonely shop owner and a clock repairman.
That makes me worry that you once said cock shop.
Yeah.
He meets Calzar, a lonely shop owner and clock repairman who tries to sell him a unique clock. Is this an ordinary clock?
This is unique.
Or land our characters in instant peril. There you go.
I tell you what, I want
fun.
Do you know? I want to shake the hand whoever wrote that synopsis. They must have known that at one point in his life,
Dan would have to read it.
Dan Butcher would have to read that and be very careful.
Read about clocks with cocks on his mind.
Clock's not cocks. Clock's not cocks. Clock's not cocks.
TikTok, will you trust the clock? On the cover. Never trust it.
Never trust it. But you can
put it
trust
on a pedestal.
You can trust Comic House to find amazing comics, all of that and more. And a shout out to those that publisher for putting all their books on Comic House.
Snowy, what do you call it? I had to shut the fucking page down for those guys.
Snowy Comics, just go with it.
Snowy Comics, yeah.
Get as many clocks as you want. And find them all on comichouse.com. There's also a 14-day free trial. So go to comichouse.com and find out more.
Yeah. That went all right, that one, I think.
Yeah.
Not as good as last week's. We're quite slick last week, weren't we? But this week, no.
Well, I don't know. Summer's almost here, and the sun just takes it out of you. I don't know about you, but I'm very pasty. If I don't get turned halfway through cooking, I'm not done evenly, and I just end up. It ruins me for the rest of the day. I worried about Tony Esmond this week because it's been a glorious weekend.
Dehydrating
in the UK. UK. Look, you're okay if that water was medically necessary.
For me, I'd say I kind of need it to live. Literally, if I don't drink,
Dan, no one cares about you. I'm only joking. I love Dan. With the power of 1,000 suns. But Tony was at a convention, out and about. When you tell us all about it.
It's a weird one, and after that initial post that I put up yesterday, where I went to Portsmouth Comic Con, amongst their promotion, put up. Someone asked them, I don't even know why you would ask this question, but someone said, "Can we take water into the convention?" And they said, "No, unless you have a specific medical need for it, you can't bring water in." And I thought, what the fuck is happening to the world? And it got quite a lot of replies. So I went in with, I'll be honest with you, I went to this with low expectations.
That flavour, that's interesting because we'll get into the convention and slight spoiler warning, it's a positive. No, But
gone.
It did sort of flavour, like having that sort of response.
Yeah,
that flavoured how you felt about the show, and certainly, I saw some responses online, sort of going, "What? I didn't."
Speaking conspiratorially, once if someone inside the organisation asked that to let people know that was the case.
Yes, I thought that might be the case. Yeah. I thought that might have been what happened because obviously they sell space and rent space, and to vans and tents to sell drinks and stuff. And they said no, people aren't. But to be fair, people they were getting. We did get bag searches. I didn't see anyone having drink taken off them, but it might have been one of the things that happened at the bag search.
It must. I mean, I would say this is a venue thing. Surely this is
probably a venue thing.
Rather than the event. This sort of mandate is.
Or is it a guarantee that they say to the people, no, they'll definitely be buying water off you because we don't let them bring it in. Therefore you got to pay us 50 quid for the day. It's almost like that.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way it is. I don't particularly agree with the practice, but there we go.
It was just a silly thing. To put up. So I got there. I think I was just saying to you before we started. It's beaten me down, guys. My expectations of comic conventions being comic conventions has long since. I ranted about it an awful lot. I'd write polemics and jokes about it and all sorts of things. But I think it's kind of left me now that I kind of accept that a lot of these things aren't about comics anymore. So there was inflatable Spider-Men crawling down the side of the building, and there was a long queue to get in that was mostly full of people wearing Harry Potter and Game of Thrones T-shirts and cosplayers. So it's sort of, I knew what I was getting into. In fact, you messaged me, Vince, didn't you? Say, what's it like? And I said, I can't bear to get in the queue yet. I can't bear to. I just can't stand.
I shouldn't have laughed out loud when I got it, but
I can't bear to be with these mouth breathers. Do you know what I mean? It's like there was a bit like that, but I did eventually go in. They said,
"Grumpy old sod."
Yeah, I know.
You must be just sad.
Yeah, luckily I've got like noise reducing headphones, and I just put something under my nose to make I couldn't smell people next to me. That's something. Anyway, so I got in the queue. Now they had a tiered entry system. Now I thought this was also a little bit money grabbing. You could get in at 10 if you paid a certain amount, or 12 if you paid less. Who goes to a comic convention at 12? I don't really understand. They have panels at 11.
In a way. Yeah.
They had panels going on at 11, and there weren't any 10 o'clock tickets for sale by the time I got there. And I thought that, and it was really, really busy in there, like back to back, mobbed out, couldn't get down a corridor, kind of busy, which is good, but also did indicate that a lot of tickets were sold, maybe, if you see where I'm coming from.
Okay.
So that was kind of the downsides of it, I'll be honest with you. It was cosplay, Funkos, sweets, jewelry, T-shirts. It was one of those cons. It really was. But
family day out sort of con.
It's basically, I think a family day out could be for comics, I'll be honest with you. I think it certainly was when my son was a kid, but I think it's kind of Portsmouth's own mini MCM. I think that's kind of
right.
Now the review is going to be mostly favourable because I actually ended up enjoying quite a big portion of it. As I drove into Portsmouth the previous evening, there was a poster as you come off the motorway for it. I thought
that's good.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
It was well signposted. It was in the sort of, I suppose it's the Guildhall, like the town hall thing, in a big square, and they'd sort of fenced it off so you couldn't get in. There was a lot of promotion going on about it. The queue was long, like really long. It's they have those sort of you have the barriers where you have to sort of snake backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
It went long before, but long beyond them. So I went in there, but it had an awful lot of comics for sale.
That's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, which is always favourable to me. Is if I'm going to go to a comic convention, all right, there's all this plastic crap, it's, particularly not environmentally friendly, but there's also some comics from the 50s I can buy and 60s and stuff, and I think it puts to shame a lot of the, let's call them the cooler comic conventions who've got F all at them.
Yeah.
And reducing as every year goes by. There was easily, I'm going to say, at least 10 stalls with back issues, which is pretty good. And they were quite busy.
That's very good.
Yeah.
I think so. There was also quite a lot of small press there. I know in advance to it, they had quite a few people drop out. So Adam Hughes dropped out, but I think he went to being a virtual guest. I don't care about virtual guests. I can watch a YouTube video whenever I want, Martin Simmons, I don't think could do it. Gareth Slightholme was going to be there, but he just so get well soon, Gareth.
Yeah.
Hope you're feeling all right, mate. And so there was no guests who weren't people I knew that I really went along for, to be honest. Roger Langridge does Nottingham. We see him every year. He's done quite a few. Okay, no, there's no superstar people there. All due respect to Roger. But I probably went along to see Ian Ashcroft. So I spent quite a lot of time with Ian. It's great to see him. That was great. And Catherine was there, his good lady. So we had a giggle, and just had a chat, and it was somewhere to go and have a sit and have a chat and leave your bag and stuff like that, which is nice. The Reckless Boys were there. Jay Martin, Burbs, and Chris Imber were there. So I spent some time with them. Steve Tanner, said hello to him in his jacket. And Matt and Mark from Hellbound Media were there as well.
Excellent.
They said
Imber doesn't stop fucking drawing a weekend.
No, he seems to be going well, man. They seem to be doing quite well at it, I think.
Did you see the news? He got approached by Marvel to do some trading cards.
Yeah, tell me about that, actually. Yeah.
Well, you got the story.
That's good. Bad time.
I think he had to turn it down because the turnaround time was ridiculous.
I think the door's open still, I think.
But yeah,
which is good. Yeah, it's about time he started doing work for people like that, isn't it? So that's good. And they seem to be doing really well. And I had a chat to, I have never really spoken to her for a very long, but it was Nicola Streeton from Ladies Do Comics. And we got sort of mutual friends. So we had a chat, and she's great company. They're going full guns. I'm going to say possible future guest for us.
Fantastic.
But Ladies Do Comics, she was great. So she's got a few sort of plans to do like little festival type stuff, which sound pretty interesting to me. Met Simon Russell, and his son and his friend, who bought a sword, and then sort of waving it about, made me laugh. Simon was dressed as Dennis Menace again, which is always good. He's got a Dennis Menace jumper. I think he actually bought it from the Beano exhibition.
Yeah,
that's like a proper one, obviously.
I think you mentioned that.
Yeah. And I'd bought some stuff off him on the Slack as well, so he brought that along. So I knew I was going to come away with some good comics, once I got in there. But I also bought some extra stuff. Bought some black and white magazines and some old, old Bronze and Silver Age comics and stuff like that. So, and then I walked back to the car at the end of the day, and I thought, okay, that was all right.
Yeah.
It's not primarily about comics. Their little Doctor Who exhibition and stuff like that. And I imagine if we had a table there, I may have gone crazy, because somebody just played the Avengers theme non-stop from their table,
From their table?
From their, stall,
Oh, man, that drove me fucking nuts.
Yeah. But it was all right by me, I think is my final opinion.
That's good, yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah, it was always going with low expectations sometimes. We do get pumped and hyped and for stuff, don't we? We get excited about comics and we get excited about going to these things. And I think because I was almost like a last minute thing, I'd heard that Gareth couldn't make it, and Ian said he'd coming down. I said, oh yeah, I'll book a hotel today. So I went down, and it was nice to see everyone, and I bought some comics, and I came away, and I hadn't been to Portsmouth for 20 odd years. It was all right. Yeah.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Lovely.
Oh, yeah.
I think if they had a lot more better names, I'd consider doing it as a tabling event.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
And
I do one of those cola lollies outside.
Ah, you're such a hipster.
From the van?
Yeah, from the van.
Nice.
Excellent.
Well, you got to stay
nice
hydrated.
choice. No, they didn't take your still suit off you when you went in.
No, exactly. Yeah. I was processing the feces.
Yeah. That's all Tony ever does at any convention. The weird thing is he's not always wearing the suit. Anyway,
staring him.
From positive news about a comic convention that I do actually want to pop along to, and especially now that comics there.
I mean, it had some great guests before, didn't it? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Didn't Walt Simonson do it, or Shelley Bond did it?
Yeah,
there's a few people, didn't they?
I think it's certainly a lot trickier with scheduling and all kinds of things over the past few years, isn't it? So.
Fingers crossed that this would be the last year that kind of COVID really kind of seems to impact stuff in this manner.
Yeah.
Well, Chris Imber agreed with me, and I said I kind of feel like we're back now.
Yeah,
wandering around there. It kind of felt a bit like that, which is good.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah,
just as long as you're still being safe and sensible.
Yeah, I'm always safe.
Always, always. But from that, obviously, the news that we have to talk about, I think we have to mention, and that is the loss of the legendary George Perez. Just announced. Very sad news. Obviously, if you're on the internet, you're aware of it, and it's been sad news, but also just seeing the love pour out from comic fans. I know that the family have been really touched by the support, haven't they? By the community and everything over there. Is it how long was he? He was ill publicly for a few years.
I know he sort of retired from comic making, didn't he, due to his health. I'm not sure if that was connected. To be fair, I mean, after the who'd have thought that we'd lost the two giants,
big guns,
2 weeks. Last week it was Neil Adams, and this week it's George Perez, and comics is utterly a lesser place for the loss of them.
Yes.
Both of them.
Yes, completely.
Well, I'll tell you this. When I was a kid, right, I was thinking about this when I was driving home last night. I used to write down my top 5 artists. I've still got the notebook actually, and I would write down my top 5 artists, my top 5 writers, my top 5 characters. Like a real sort of nerd that I was. And it was always between Perez and Byrne at the top of my list. One week it'd be Perez, next week it'd be Byrne. Yeah, they were both so good. Perez is so lovely. Just a joy to read his comics.
Yeah,
really was.
Yeah, fun.
Yeah.
That's what comics is, and that's not to say that there weren't, some serious themes and there's some proper emotion going through, but it was always kinetic and energetic, and
I mean, no hyperbole. If one artist draws 5 characters on a page, George would draw 50.
Yeah, it'd really notch it up.
But not just that, they're all distinct.
Yeah. Some of the
such a clean line to it,
I was looking through Hulk Future Imperfect yesterday, and some of the detail in that is just unreal. It's just so good. There's one full page of the a market scene, and just you can look at a market store and there's all the details in there. It's lovely craftsmanship.
You only got to look at Crisis. Christ, look at that. How many characters did he play within that?
Yeah.
And then that was I think it was volume 3 of the Avengers when he came back. Was it with Kurt Busiek? That was just amazing.
A lot of
Where did you first see him, guys? What was your sort of first exposure to him? Can you remember?
I remember. I did post something on Twitter about it. It was Teen Titans when it was in the UK weeklies. It was just reprints. It was just reprints. Was it back mattering something? I think it was. But that was just. You may hear me talk a little bit more about it later. But that was a transformative book for me in a lot of ways. And I'm not a DC guy, and certainly I probably wouldn't recognise the Titans now. But that for me that Teen Titans era, that run is pretty much that's top of the list for me personally in a lot of ways. Now I know obviously I'm a big X-Men fan, and there was obviously the Dark Phoenix saga and that sort of, but Teen Titans got me first.
Okay, because they were in competition. They were them and Legion were the 3 big team books, weren't they?
Yeah,
back then,
Yeah. So that was Teen Titans for me. What about you, Dan?
Mine, I think it'd have to be either Infinity Gauntlet or Crisis.
Yeah,
kind of just you kind of read a comic and take it in, really enjoy it, really like everything about it, and then only upon reflection you think, oh fucking hell, that's George Perez on that, and
it's so much, much.
A lot of his covers, sign of a good cover when people homage it, and the Crisis one where Superman's holding Supergirl or Superwoman, can't remember the name.
Supergirl, I think it was.
Supergirl.
That's one of the greatest covers of all time. I think
did you see that picture of him when he did it with a cosplayer? He was holding a cosplayer like he was like Superman was. That's good. Yeah. Mine was the Avengers. I think I was first aware of him. I may have seen him. I think probably before that in Deadly Hands of Kung Fu or something, or maybe Logan's Run or something. But it's when he did the Wonder Man and Beast Avengers stuff, and I just loved it. It was so clear, so well defined. And then of course he moved from there, didn't he, to New Teen Titans. and I just followed him wherever he went after that. You know, Wonder Woman stuff was great. Yeah, God, so much.
I mean, if you think about like an artist that's so good at doing a large team book, you know, with a large cast of characters. I mean, is there a better Avengers artist? If you think,
to do that thing, that team thing, incredible.
Because,
when he did it on Titans, he did it on Justice League Avengers. It's just amazing.
Yeah, because Avengers is such a rolling cast, isn't it? You know, sometimes it's hard to nail down. You know, that's just, for me, he might be my Avengers artist as well. Do you know what I mean? Because I can't tell you who would be better than him. And
did you meet him when we did MCM guys? Because
I did. Was he there?
Right.
Was he there?
Well, maybe it's the next one on. I know I met him when I was doing the no-brow table. I can't remember which one it was.
I didn't see him.
Yeah, that was great. Lovely meeting him. He was so nice.
Yeah.
He's big. He's a tall geezer. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he was always nice with the fans. Just such a positive force for comics. And
I really, that kind of attitude of like acknowledging the readers and fans rather than this kind of nose up in the air attitude that you do see sometimes. Obviously, he's not one of them. Neither was Neil Adams.
Very generous with their time. I think both of them in different ways, maybe. Yeah, I mean, they're very different people, but they were our people. I think is the way I felt about it. You know.
Yeah. So add our voices to the millions, talking about how great he was, because he was.
Yeah.
I mean, a bona fide legend in the comics that I think a lot of people won't even get close. To what he's done. So there you go. So, but he also, I mean, Dan was speaking about some classic covers.
Now we're going to move on slagging covers off.
From some classic covers.
Good link there.
Although, you know, should we start this off on a real high? Because I know, because Dan, you mentioned that classic Crisis cover.
Yeah, mine's the Perez cover.
But there's another one. So should we start with that just to keep, you know, let's...
I agree. Yes.
Okay. So so we all come up with some good covers and some bad covers between us, and we've shared them today, haven't we? Yeah. And mine was New Teen Titans Volume 1, Issue 1, cover art by George Perez and Dick Giordano. I remember where I was when I saw the advert to this, because it was an advert first, and it's the team coming towards the camera, you know. And I remember I can even remember in my head thinking, because Teen Titans had kind of died a bit of a death years before, and it was kind of, I think it'd gone bi-monthly, and, you know, it wasn't really a thing. And then there was all this team, and then some of them were new and some of them were old. And I'm like, oh, you know, who's that? Is that a cyborg? You know, is that Wonder Woman or is that Wonder Girl? I can't remember. I haven't really seen Wonder Girl before. Isn't that dude from Doom Patrol? You know, where are they? Are they in Gotham? And then there's, in the foreground, there's sort of green hands, as if reaching out towards them, which they're running towards. And remember thinking, well, this is in a city, though. This is in Gotham. Yeah. Well, does that mean these people have been transformed, you know, or are they aliens, or have aliens landed? And it was such a big, bombastic, big burst of action. You know, like, this is the team. This is, and almost in each person, they're showing their powers on that cover.
Yeah.
The Flash is speeding, you know. Raven is showing her powers.
Beast Boy transforming.
For me, I mean, this is, if you don't know this cover,
it's a classic. It's been much
it's an
homage,
absolute homage. It's one of the classic, like you say, Tony. It's running towards the reader. I will say, I've never been a fan of Robin. Never really been a fan of Robin, unless he was in Teen Titans. And the image that's on the cover of Robin is a classic pose, and it makes him look really cool.
And he's the leader. He's central, and I was thinking, he's Robin the leader now, you know, and all this sort of thing, you know. Yeah. I actually freaked to that, and I couldn't wait to see the actual comic.
It's got a great composition to it as well. When you get to see it, like, everything's drawn in, like all the hands are pointing to the center. You got the column of like fire explosions behind them that kind of the Raven's cloak kind of encompassing them. It's great. Yeah.
It's almost got this real. Because Robin is sort of front and center, it doesn't lean too heavily on the Batman. You know, Robin's not as powerful as Batman, so we need to put like a lot of modern publishers do. Batman's got to be somewhere there on the cover so that we know it's
Yeah,
is a Batman.
He'd be an issue too, wouldn't he?
But the way that he's crafted the Raven pose almost has this Batman-like influence to it. Do you know what I mean? So it sort of, I think that's for a DC fan as well. That's subliminally a comforting sort of
the big
shape.
cloak
above Robin.
Yeah. But also, it's one of those things that is almost counterintuitive because you actually look at it, it doesn't work because has the Flash just arrived? I know. Why are they all running at the same speed as Robin? It's almost like that. It doesn't work, but it's such a great visual introduction to a team that makes you want to find out about it.
It's also the kind of, we mentioned this subject before, but an issue 1 of a comic, the cover you're going to put on an issue 1 is going to be completely different to the cover of issue 2.
Yeah.
The issue 1s are usually generic. Well, roughly speaking, they're like a pin-up usually, aren't they?
Yeah, we're going to get to that. Yeah, that's a big bugbear, isn't it? Yeah.
But, a pin-up on the front cover of issue 1, fine. That's what you're getting.
But this is more than that. This is, I know.
Yeah.
Not every cover has to tell a story. I know we do like that.
Yeah.
But this does tell. You intuit it, don't you? You try and work out what's happening.
Yeah, what's going on here? What's going on here? What's going on? Yeah, I agree. It's a good one. It's really stand the test of time, doesn't it?
Yeah.
What about you guys? You going to do your good ones, or do you want to?
Yeah, I'll do my good one.
Sticking the knife in now.
I'll do my good one.
Let's start positively.
I went through the past 3 weeks on Comixology, and I picked out I thought I'm going to do a recent one, and I picked out a Batman Beyond one because it absolutely stuck out to me. It's Batman Beyond Neo Year issue 2. I'm going to have to pass on the eyes because I'm not quite sure. And essentially, it's got Terry. Is that the Batman Beyond?
I think so. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And he's kind of like in the center of kind of like this abstract pattern circling behind him. Around him are kind of all clowns and sort of misfits kind of coming in on him. It's like a top shot down. And then they appear to be like in the mouth of, I imagine, like the futuristic Joker, and it's kind of like all these broken teeth like coming in on him. And the composition and the layout's really nice. The kind of the black figure of Batman sort of, it makes a nice like focal point. It's really intriguing. I really like it because he seems to be like falling into them, and they're all coming in and trying to grab him.
I think it's Max Dunbar. There you go. He's on the cover.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I really like it. I think it really works as a cover. It kind of caught me on the thumbnail.
It's got a little bit of the retro Adam West Batman feel about it as well to me. I think you sort of
it's leaning into the trippy nature because it does a little psychedelic. Obviously, you've got the swirly, the classic. That sort of spiral shape is the classic. You're going to this weird place. I think, and I really like the colours. Like it's not.
Yeah,
I mean, it's Batman Beyond. He's the darkest thing in Batman Beyond, isn't he? Everything else is
because everyone else, the costumes for everyone else are quite detailed, where his is quite plain.
I think they make the mistake often with him just to have black and red covers. I think it's the easy go-to, isn't it?
Yeah,
they're the two sort of coming and put him out at night. Just have this black and red thing. That
becomes
intensely boring.
You're going to mention this, like when you do that all the time. It's like, what issue's this? What trade's this? I've got this already.
Yeah,
and when it becomes over familiar, just like you overlook it.
Yeah, it doesn't become clever. I don't want a cover to be, that's a clever image of a hand coming through the ice. It means nothing to me. Just fucking tell a story.
I must say, this is because I haven't really popped my head into the main two publishers much. It's one of the first times, and I've noticed the lozenge. I'm going to use the word lozenge. Word of the day. In the top left for the logo and obviously the number and the sort of graphic symbol of whatever this book is from.
That's quite common now. Yeah,
I quite like that design.
I quite like it in the back office or something like that. Yeah. So the families of titles.
It's quite clear. I like that idea of like there's a quick reference. The number's very clear. You got the name of the creators underneath. I think the only thing that and the logo title is pretty clear. Neo Year
is not that clear.
Yeah, it's not good.
Yeah.
That bottom left thing, I'm not.
I know about that.
Age is 13+. DCComics.com. Is that something they're doing? Because when you've got that
I haven't got any in front of me.
if you've got that on a shelf, that will be the information that you see, that left-hand column, won't it?
Certainly not on the other Bat titles. I wonder if that's a digital only.
Maybe a digital only.
Yeah, it's on the one I'm about to talk about as well. In a second.
Okay. I'm just dragging up some.
I think the only thing that I would say about this comic, maybe to add to it, is just one of those classic. Let's have a bit of text on the, running along the bottom. I mean, it could interfere with those teeth on the bottom, but that sort of like, falling into peril or something like, some sort of classic comics.
Yeah, that's the digital only thing. The physical ones have like the barcode box.
Okay, makes sense.
Yeah.
And doesn't the barcode box have like is part of that?
Yeah, it's part of that. Yeah, we're along with the price. Yeah. Which is why it's not in the digital copy.
It'd be interesting to know who actually reads that, who actually uses that as a
guide.
If you do, listeners, please let us know. Because things like that are always interesting, I think. This is a strong one. Do you know what I like about this pick, Dan? It's a Batman cover, and it's got colour in it.
Yeah.
Not raining.
A rarity.
It's not grim. I mean, there's obviously the potential for violence about to happen on it. But there's a colour and there's an energy to it. And that is sorely lacking in a lot of covers, which you might.
I always find like the Batman Beyond stuff, you can put your foot down a little bit when it comes to kind of the wacky stuff because of the world it's set in.
Yeah, the villains are full colour on, aren't they?
And I think in a lot of ways, the publisher sort of overlooks it, don't they? Because he's not a main Batman, so they can probably get away with a little bit more. Dare I say?
Not hyper intense scrutiny on the title.
Yeah.
Yours, Vince?
From Batman Beyond to another DC one, I was basically went into the slog that is a Comixology browse for my ones, but I'm not going to go on about that. But I actually picked one, I believe, from this week. It's from a title that I haven't been reading. It's another DC title. This is Task Force Z, number 7, no doubt.
I'm not reading this one. I'll probably read it on the DC app.
Okay.
The thing is, I didn't know about this, but if I get hold of the DC app, I might try an issue or 2 of this series. This is Task Force Z. I don't even.
Z for zombie.
Zombies. I don't even know what it means, but I do know that this is a cover that's just the straight up heads of characters on a black background.
So 3x3 grid, isn't it?
Yeah, 3x3 grid of some Batman related. They're always Batman related characters, aren't they? Now, normally that isn't really interesting to me, but this one's got some nice colours going on. It's dark. There's the zombified sort of details. I do really like the art on it. It does also sort of along the back in very clear white writing who's joining the team. So it's almost got that classic comics sort of style to it. That like it asks a question and gives you a potential answer on that cover, which I think a lot of classic comics used to do, didn't it? They used to sort of.
You used to get it with the Avengers, didn't you? Like who's going to be in the Avengers this time around and stuff like that. Yeah, I used to like that. Yeah.
So this is a potential. Looking at this cover, I'm not knowing about this book. I don't know who's in the team, but I would look at that and thinking, there's that's the choice. Who's this going to be? The other things I like about this cover, and design obviously I've harped on about sometimes with covers, it's got that lozenge on the top left. It's got like a bullseye here, which I don't know necessarily what that means for the universe, but it's quite clear. I really like that logo. The logo's quite sort of like, it's big, flashy, it's against black. It's very it looks like something from a sort of zombie movie. Do you know what I mean? That you probably rent on a DVD, but they've added like a sort of simple glow to it, which makes it look like it's irradiated. So it's not going too far. It's just trying to be effective without like pushing the boat out. And it just caught me. Out of all of them, I thought, oh, I really like that. And I think I would say on this cover, the title, when I was just doing the browse, the title was one of the things that caught me first. Because it's so clear and crisp.
Oh yeah, really pops.
Which isn't the case with some other titles, which we may get into in a bit. But yeah, that's my one. Task Force Z.
Presumably all those characters, they're not all dead.
I don't know.
So I don't know the story behind it. See, he's
No,
asked these
I'm gonna
questions.
read
I
it
want to
now,
find
I
out.
think, Yeah.
Yeah, I look at it, and I'm not gonna.
So we've got from the top. It's Poison Ivy, Batwoman. I think that's Scarecrow, Penguin,
Joker, Riddler. Is that
Ra's al
Ghul? Yeah, old Rafe, Catwoman, and that's Nightwing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean, the good thing about that, it makes me want to buy it. It makes me want to read it. What's this about?
Yeah. Yeah, and so it works for me.
That's what a cover's supposed to do, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the primary thing.
So,
get you to pick it up and open the book up.
Yeah, we've got a wide range of, from classic to design to just action-packed covers there that we like. And obviously, let us know what you think about them. Look whether you look them up online afterwards or have a look at the little pictures that we'll post. Plus a little insight into our little taste. But speaking of taste...
Here we go. You ready?
Yeah.
We're not actually, I think this is hopefully.
I think some of this is editorial dictates as well.
Yes.
Certainly from my point of view. It's not particularly the way the character is drawn on the cover, but I think maybe it's an approach that has become the norm recently.
Yeah.
Shall I do? Is it back to me again?
Yeah. Go first. Let's stick with it.
Okay. So my main bugbear is just putting because people know this, but there's the actual name of the comic on the top of the comic cover, right?
Mm-hmm.
So just putting, if it's a comic about Batman, just having a picture of Batman on it doesn't fucking work because it happens so much.
Yeah.
Right? And it doesn't work for a number of reasons. Firstly, when I buy a comic, I buy a lot of comics, right? As a lot of people do. And they go in, and I don't go in with my laptop with me or my notebook full of what I've got. I go in there with a visual memory of what I own and what I don't own. And if all the comics are for example, Batman comics all have such a similar image on the cover, I don't know where I am. Right? Now, that's counterproductive to sales because people are going, well, I can't tell whether I've read this or not. I'm not even going to pick it up.
God help if there's variants involved as well, you'll end up
variants, which is another disaster. Now, there's a few that I'm going to mention that do this. And I think people can't afford to buy comics twice, so that puts them off if they can't remember whether they've got it or not. So this is just a simple trawl through. I went to the Marvel app and the DC app, and almost like the first things that come up. So I went to the Marvel app, and there's a cover of the Death of Doctor Strange #5 by Corey Andrews, and I like Corey Andrews' work. I think his Iron Fist stuff was brilliant. I think he's a great artist, but this is just a picture or half a picture of Doctor Strange's face doing a spell.
It's a lovely bit of artwork.
It's nice, but it's just. I know it's a Doctor Strange comic because it says it on it.
I think especially if it's called The Death of Doctor Strange, there's got to be some sort of narrative going on there, and we
need to know where you are in it.
That's a trading card.
Yeah,
is what it is.
That's all that is, man.
And I will say, we're going to talk about these covers. For the most part, the art, the actual images that are on, they're fantastic. It's fantastic.
Yeah, my examples are.
Talented creators, and it's
craftsmanship wise,
it's beautiful.
It's great.
It's just let down, but like you say, Tony, I think a lot of it is editorial mandate or publishing mandate.
Yeah, I think so.
Which adds, muddies the waters.
See, this to someone going in a shop and says, "Oh, I've just seen the Doctor Strange movie. I want to buy a Doctor Strange comic." It's almost like clickbaity, isn't it? Because it's got a picture. But someone who's reading the Doctor Strange series goes, "I don't know if I've read 5 because all these covers are just pictures of Doctor Strange."
That looks more like a number one. That looks more like a number one. For instance,
it's all right to do it occasionally.
Yeah,
it's all been done occasionally. Yeah. But if you do it all the time, you're just fucking lost.
Yeah. Like you say, you walk out of that film, you think, I want Doctor Strange. Oh, he's doing magic on that cover. Pick it up. Yeah. Open it. You don't know what's going on.
No, exactly.
But I said,
plus he dies in this one.
The pin-up for an issue 1 is like you can get away with a pin-up cover. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of like part of the course, but it's fucking.
But also, there's an immediacy. There's a drama. There's a melodrama. There's a piece of character about putting what happens in the story on the cover, and it involves the person viewing the cover in the narrative. And that you're pulled into the gang. You're pulled into the story. And you want to keep going with what's happening in the story. Just putting the character on the cover does not aid for people to pick it up unless you just randomly go in a comic shop and want to pick a Batman cover up.
Yeah. Can I piggyback on this? Once
Go
for it.
You finished, Tony.
I've got two more examples. Do you want me to do them and then?
Do your examples. Okay. I'll see if my examples.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So my next one is the Batman Rebirth series, the current Batman series, number 61. It's just a picture of Batman punching nothing in the air. And that's by Tony Daniel again, who's a great artist. I like Tony Daniel's work, but this is just fucking dull.
What is he smashing?
Is he smashing glass or something?
But like, because the red colouring, it's strange.
It looks like a ticker tape parade a bit, doesn't it? Like he's punching standing on the top of a float.
Yeah.
Or something. I don't really understand what's happening there. That's just. I mean, it's just. I don't know if these are things we haven't got to cover this week. What have we got?
Fucking hell, that logo's massive on his chest.
Yeah, isn't it? Yeah. The
Anyway.
signature also quite massive on the page. Yeah. And then the other one is, I mean, you can actually pick any issue of Gotham City Sirens and get exactly the same. Now, I understand why we get that butt shot in it. You know, we're all red-blooded men and red-blooded people and ladies and whatever. But every single issue of Gotham City Sirens is just a drawing of one of the characters. There's no story to drag you in at all there. Yeah. Nothing at all.
Yeah. I tell you what is another thing, you know. This is another. March. It's a pin-up. It's a poster. You know, lovely
it's
as
a sales poster for the inside of a comic shop door or something. You know,
selling sex. That essentially.
Yeah. That is.
Cover.
And is that what modern readers want with Harley? I'm not sure.
I don't know.
He's more of a sort of Deadpool character at this point.
Yeah. Another thing that is just egregious to me is that big black band across the top that says Batman Return. I don't know.
Reborn.
Yeah. Oh, see, I couldn't read it. Batman Reborn.
It's a shame because that pill thing they got going on, they've kind of not done it with that. And
is this an old? This is an older book.
This is older.
It's November 09.
Yeah. It's a feature. It's actually a featured comic on the front of the DC Unlimited at the moment. Okay. Yeah.
We've posted up some example. We had a folder that was sending images back and forward, and that whole kind of character in front of a color or something, not really doing much, is just prevalent, isn't it? Prevalent.
Yeah.
Like I want someone shouting, he's going to kill me, or you know, who's stolen my hammer. You know, I think that's why we need word balloons and covers, because it aids to the storytelling, and it gives. It's like, you know, if you don't buy this comic, the Flash is going to die. That's like an immediate heartstring, isn't it? You know.
Also, these characters are obviously when they do these covers, they're obviously designed to be alluring. They're designed to be sexy and stuff like that. But they can still be that whilst falling from a building trying to save one another or something like that. You can still have them being badass and just kicking someone in the face really hard. You know, something that tells a story rather than is just pin up after pin up after pin up.
You got that one. Someone posted up this Spider-Woman cover, issue 21.
This is the ones that are tallying up with yours, Tony, because why I wanted to piggyback, because the ones I picked were Spider-Woman issue 21.
Okay.
It says So
did you stick this in the chat? This one, you did. Yeah.
And
Miss
the other
Marvel.
one, Miss Marvel, Beyond the Limit, number 5 of 5. Okay, these have the same thing. Now,
so they're series finales.
Yes, these are both series finales. And apparently the Spider-Woman is a knockdown, drag-out series finale of a series that's got to issue 21. That's quite a big deal in this day and age. Let's be honest.
I think they sort of stopped bothering by the end of the series, didn't they, on this one?
Yeah, it's just a Flash saying a knockdown, drag-out series finale. And once again, very well rendered. I'm not sure who does the cover, actually. Spider-Woman sort of like falling towards the reader.
Sort of fist first.
Yeah, I don't know how the physics work, but you know, the artwork looks great, but there's nothing going on.
Oh, the logo winds me up there, man. They've tried to make the logo join in with the buildings, thus making it fucking invisible.
Yeah. Plus her hair is covering part of it.
Yeah. What is it with things covering logos these days?
I mean, you could change that background she's on into anything, because she's not interacting with the background, really. Right.
At least with this one, there is a massive inconsistency with Marvel's sort of. When we're talking about DC, then having that lozenge in the corner, creators' names underneath it, bam! It's almost like here's your template. Do the lovely artwork, but here's your template. Great. Marvel's consistency is all over the fucking shop, because you get this Spider-Woman, which has
the cover is by Jung Gwen Yoon. There you go. Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, love it. Well,
No
it's a lovely cover, but and you've certainly got the creators underneath this week. It upsets me, that Marvel fucking logo in the corner. How so? It's just stuck on. They don't.
This
care
looks really,
anymore.
really ill considered. That really ill
What
considered.
happened to that? Like, we all know Marvel's a brand. Let's not beat around the bush. They are a brand, so let's see a bit of branding. At least DC are trying. At least DC are trying to do something. But then you look at the Miss Marvel, and it's just got a Marvel logo with a number 5 underneath, and the creators' names are above the logo. It's Miss Marvel, and I guess that's the latest version of Wasp, isn't it? On this cover, and that's it. They look like
Machel Ahmed, that cover.
Oh, nice.
I don't really know what's going on, because kind of like Miss Marvel's kind of posed up, ready to sort of throw a punch, and the Wasp is just sort of like dreamily sort of like floating in front of her.
Yeah.
And
It looks like
what's this?
Yeah, they're preparing for something, but preparing for what? And if this is number 5 of Beyond the Limit, surely by now there's villains and there's stakes and stuff.
Yeah.
Let's have something that's a bit of
what was the cliffhanger of the previous issue on 4? How did it end?
Yeah.
To get them to pick up 5, and that should be the point that you're kind of trying to illustrate.
Oh, let's have a look. You can see the full series, right? Here's the thing. See, on issue 4, see the rest of the issues seem to have something more going on with them.
Right.
There seems to be telling more of a story. Like issue 4, there's Miss Marvel seems to be caught in like a snow globe of some kind. Although all of these issues don't have like one of those, trapped in a snow globe, or they don't have anything like that. It's just a nice bit of art. Issue 1 has the traditional, that sort of pin-up cool scene, but the rest of them seem to be doing something more. And
issue 3 is telling a story, isn't it?
Yeah,
more interesting.
Yeah. Can you see them all?
I've just googled them.
Yeah. But issue 5, nothing. I don't understand it.
That's a very bizarre cover.
It's I mean, I know we speak about law of diminishing terms in terms of sales, but come on, you've only got 5 issues. Come on, publishers. I'm saying it's not the creative team. I mean, who knows about deadlines and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But that is, if a series
doesn't aid
finished,
to sales, man. It doesn't aid people to go, have I read this one or not? What there's nothing going on the cover. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah. The rest of the issues, they're different. I mean, the problem you said you were having, Tony, with with these other Batman ones, you would see the rest of them. Although I will say, looking at them now, the rest of the issues, there's the designer part of me that's like, just be consistent. Stop moving the logo around.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I agree. Like that should be templated in every issue. Is virtually you take the cover away, and the cover below it is all the masthead and everything's in the same spot.
Because
every single issue.
Cover art is cover art. When you see the classic, like if you're buying original pages and stuff, part of the beauty of seeing some of these original like cover images is because they've blocked out that space where the logo's going to go or where the other bits are going to go. If someone's like, here's your cover, and it doesn't fit in with the design, you haven't created a cover. You haven't created a pin-up. You've created a pin-up, not a cover. Yeah, it has to be a distinction, doesn't there?
The thing with like things overlapping the logo is now become norm, and I don't know why we're doing it. Yeah. It just seems silly. Every so often, it's quite cool to have, Thor's hammer or something, but it just seems to be. Here's a question for you then: if this is a 5-issue miniseries, which would be put into a trade paperback fairly quickly, normally, not always. Do you want a new image for the trade paperback, or are you happy with one of the covers from the series going on there? I'd rather have something different.
I would have something different. Yeah. I would have something different, but make it quite clear that it's the collection of this series. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, like going into the themes of the trade, for instance, like using some of those elements for the whole entire story that can be summed up in the cover. I mean, usually the covers are issue specific, aren't they?
Yeah.
So
something that encompasses the whole storyline. Yeah, I think so. And plus, it's nice if you're buying a trade, which they aren't cheap these days. Often they're more expensive than buying freaking single issues altogether. It's nice to have something else on there
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
Trade dress is another thing as well. Just to tally on what you're saying there is, I often can't lose my place when I'm buying a comic in trades because all the covers are so similar. And my case in point for that is Hellboy and BPRD. I can't remember where I am because they all look so similar. Yeah.
Yeah, there's one thing to have a template, isn't there? And that, well, you have the template, but for God's sake, make the images striking.
My approach is
telling a story and having words on the cover aids to that ability to me to find out where I am.
We might approach this subject before, but how do you feel about covers being drawn by someone who isn't the interior artist? I mean, that happens all the fucking time.
Sometimes
nowadays.
It's okay. Yeah.
I think if it's drawn by a different artist, it still needs to relate to the issue. A lot of the times they've brought in another artist and it's just a pin-up.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, do that as a variant or whatever.
Alex Ross.
But yeah, I think it should always have something to do. Like a comic from cover to back cover. I know there's ads and stuff, but it should be a complete unit that works. Everything should work to aid the rest. The inside should, the cover should open, draw you in, and then the story does the rest of the work. And by the end of it, you want to pick up another one, and it's cyclical.
Yeah.
A lot of these covers are just so boring.
I know a lot of effort has been put into write an interesting story.
Yeah.
Often draw an interesting story.
Yeah.
And the cover needs to make a person buy that single comic, not that series. That's not what it's about. It should make me want to buy Savage Dragon 121.
Yeah.
Not just Savage Dragon.
Yeah.
And see what's happening. That's the problem. These covers seemingly are just so generic. They're just for like Joe Public who walks in and wants to get a Savage Dragon comic. Well, not so that's a bad example because he does some excellent covers. But like Batman especially is terrible for this. It's just these constant same images of Batman standing in a different fucking rooftop. Yeah.
So, I mean, for kind of like a small press creator putting your comic out for the first time, obviously Batman's got Batman cells, so they're going to pin up a Batman on the comic. You got a better chance than a small press creator putting a pin up of your character on the comic.
Yeah, you got to have it doing something.
You got to have something a bit more to it. I would say
personality, action, interesting. There's all different things, aren't there? Yeah,
that pick up ability kind of. You see it. Oh, I wonder what that's about, and you got your in there. But when you got to be. It's a tricky one.
I tell you what, it's fascinating looking at these latest issues and then just doing a quick scan of the rest of the art leading up to it.
I honestly think there might be an editorial kind of something that's come down to say, right, this is what the cover's going to be because we found out this is what sells or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Not as opposed to an artistic trip, because you look at these the covers we've mentioned so far, and there's some real craftsmanship in there. Like the people who are doing it know what they're doing. There's I mean that Spider-Man one. There's like folds on the fabric, the muscle contours, like the costume fit into a frame.
I haven't read. I'm literally judging a book by its cover.
Yeah,
but
that's what it needs to be on a shelf.
Yeah. I hope to God, these are great series. Each and every one that we're talking about. Do you think
this playing? I mean, the Batman wasn't. It just went on and on. So a monotonous cover.
I think it's you bought it.
I know. I did. As usual, the word mug is spelled on my forehead. But playing devil's advocate with especially the Tony Daniel one there, and maybe the Carrie Andrews one. Do you think they buy it in order to use it elsewhere as well? And they've got that Tony Daniels image of Batman. It's a very well drawn image of Batman. Are they thinking, right, we can put this on the cover of the Spanish Trade. We can put this on some posters or banners we're going to use at San Diego this year. Do you think there's this sort of multiple use of stuff so they are more attracted to this pin-up single image because it's reusable?
It's like a piece of commercial art as opposed to the comic cover. Potentially, Tony,
Yeah, it could be. Another thing that's annoying about that Batman one as well, it's part one of a story. If you're going to kick off a story or end a story, it's got to be so...
nightmares.
Yeah. I think that's a problem with a lot of Batman titles, though, isn't it?
I mean, we're totally over. There's so much oversaturated with Batman these days. There's so much you can't keep up with it. I buy four Batman comics a month, and I'm like a quarter of the Batman books out there.
Yeah.
Do you read them all, T?
I do at the moment. Yeah, I've now made a rule to myself, so I read my pull list at least that. I usually buy it on a Saturday morning. I'll read it at the weekend.
Okay.
So for the last 3 weeks, I think Vince said to me a few weeks ago, and I made him right. He said, "Yeah, but they just fucking pile up," and you were right. Do you know what I mean? And I thought, right, I'm going to make sure, even if I just sit and have a coffee at the train station on the way home, I'll read them all. You know, I kind of had to discipline myself to them. Some of them, they're a slog, and some of them I've been sort of pleasantly surprised with. You know,
that's interesting.
Yeah. But we pay a lot of money for these, so we should be reading them.
Yeah,
that's a terrible thing to say, innit? But you know what I mean. I'm guilty of it, but you know.
Right, so I jumped on Tony's for that one. Dan, what's another one you want to mention?
This is we're going to go to my one. It's out of all of them, this one absolutely jumped out to me because
this is the one that we thought was the worst.
I think this is the worst of the bunch. I mean, if someone posted this up in the Slack group saying I'm looking for feedback on this, I'd be like, don't go to press for this. It's really substandard. It's really poor. The artistic merit in it is
before you
nil.
start, Dan. I think we want fit. I've got one more to mention.
I'll go for it. Yeah,
and I think yours needs to be the last one.
We might be end on that one. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'll keep it waiting.
Yeah. I picked out one more.
Oh yes.
Oh god.
Vince's one. Yeah.
It's the one that started this, isn't it? That one.
Oh no.
We're following the Miller example here. You know, like you build up to the end.
Yeah. This is the one I just out of the blue. I just sent them an image and just probably irate about it. I was probably irate. This is The Vampire Slayer #1.
This is awful.
From Boom
this
Studios.
Is terrible.
For those who didn't know, this is from the world of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And this cover, where do I start?
It's a litany of fucking just things that are wrong.
It looks like there's some lovely rendered images of characters that I presume are in this book.
Well, they're past characters. So you've got Willow,
right.
the Slayer that took over from Buffy after she died, after Faith died. Anya top left. You got Angel top right.
Bloody hell, your Buffy knowledge is surprising me.
Buffy boy.
Perhaps we should do a.
Buffy's a good series.
Special.
Yeah, I did like Buffy.
Yeah, it was a good series. You're
doing well to make them out though, because they're just weird. Because they seem to have this sort of someone's stained their faces.
Yeah, they've all got the same
weird shadow that doesn't. On a couple of them, it looks like they've just got a birthmark.
It looks like kind of like Batman's flying overhead.
Yeah, because they're lit up by like a big white shape in the
where's
center.
the light source for those stains?
The light seems to be coming from. I think it's supposed to be coming from below.
Yeah.
Right, the light source is supposed to be the center of the page. Because in the center of the page, there's like a silhouette of like a figure in a kind of like fighting stance, and they're glowing white. It's like a white out cover, isn't it, Vince?
Yeah, and they're clearly in some sort of it looks like the standard Buffy holding you can see it like they're holding a stake if you really look at it.
But the faces look like they're in the doctor's waiting room.
They look like
and they're all in different sizes.
Yeah, just so dispassionate.
There.
Yeah, and if that wasn't bad enough, the design of this cover,
design and typography.
Someone has just thrown this together. At the bottom, from the world of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Fair enough. I can read that. It's clear enough. That's probably one of the reasons I actually know what this book is.
See, I would have that left aligned or right aligned in white, not over the central figure.
See,
you see in the space on the left, get on the left chest, or on the one on the right.
Yeah, the logo.
Oh,
I went to say something and I'm speechless.
I mean, when you think of vampires, what color would you instantly jump to?
Red.
Yeah. What color do you think they've gone with, listener? Yellow.
Wait, they went for yellow. Not only that, you've got the Vampire Slayer is obviously the title. They covered up a bit of the word vampire with the word slayer. The choice of fonts is pretty much whatever someone's found when they've done a drop-down menu of the fonts that are available.
And Acrobat, Illustrator.
Above that, they've got a different font being used for the creators that are just stacked haphazardly. That font should be the same as from the world of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, but it isn't. So just from a design perspective, the fonts going on. I'm having a nosebleed.
We've got about 4 or 5 fonts.
The number 1 is tucked in the right, almost like Angel's got a hair clip on that happens to be
chopped
shaped
off a third of Angel's face, which is a really unfortunate crop.
I think if we post it, lovely listeners, you'll see why.
Yeah.
I know who the central figure is now. I've just looked it up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who is it?
Hang on. Spoilers for the next 10 seconds if you're going to read this.
It's Willow.
Okay.
Yawn.
Well, that was.
So the
hang on, isn't she on the background?
On the cover.
Well, I only said that because I saw it. Unfortunately, it's a bleeding cool article, but yeah.
The Slayer power can jump to anyone in the earth, but it goes to Willow. Okay.
So hang on. What? So this litany of characters on the cover is who it could be?
It can't be Angel.
The design is like it's going to be someone new that is exploding into the world of everyone else. A concept that could be quite interesting if it was.
One of them was already a Slayer. The one in the top left is a demon.
Yeah, the cover's by somebody called Gonny Montez, by the way. Credit where credit's due.
Yeah. I don't have any problem with the rendering of the figures. I think that the lighting.
I think some of the shadowing's a bit off.
The shadowing's strange, but but this was a cover that the design immediately offended me.
Yeah, it's very
Boom
very
Studios, come on, especially if you've got a title, something that's built into a franchise that surely is. This looks like it's just been sorted out by the end of the day.
You've got the Buffy typography, that font. I mean, unless they're not allowed to use that font, surely you could do something similar, like a blood splat font or something for Vampire. I don't know. It's just very very poor choices on this one.
Yeah,
that's one.
We're getting Vince for his birthday.
Yeah, get me that.
Copy it is.
At the end of the show, I'll read out Vince's home address, and you can all send him.
Yeah, nice.
Anything else?
Yeah. So that was the other one. I completely forgot I had that one as well.
It's a travesty.
Yeah. So Dan,
I don't find my one quite as offensive as that, I've got to say, but we started going on in this one, in this Ian Fleming's James Bond.
Wait till you start getting into it, Dan. Come on.
Okay, let me get the head of steam up. Himeros, is that the word? I'm not sure what that means.
I think so. I don't know.
And it's James Bond with a lovely lady, sort of with their guns out. Not so lovely. And it's like the other covers we talked about have got some actual craftsmanship and some skill behind them, but the artist, I don't know what they was doing on this one. It's like I said, if this was posted up on our Slack group asking for legitimate feedback on this cover, I'd say I think you need to think about this one again, because it's really poorly done, very very bad. It's just, I've looked at some of the other covers in this series, and this is by far and away the worst. Some of the other ones are not too bad.
Just have a look.
They aren't. I'm just looking at some of them. They're actually not too bad. They are, and some of them actually tell stories. They're fairly sort of iconic, but I'm just looking at some of them are okay.
Yeah, I mean, they've gone for that. It's got like a sort of pulp novel sort of feel, or not, like a real old pulp novel, isn't it? That's sort of like hands on. But
if you put this in for A-level art, you might get a D. It's the woman's face. The kind of, you got Bond looking off to the left, and the woman's kind of looking right at you, and the face is terrible. For some reason, kind of, there's no shade, hardly any shading on her face or hair, but then there's heavy spot blacks used on Bond and some on her. The detailing on the guns, which obviously Bond's using his water PPK.
God, it looks like her gun. It doesn't look right. It looks like they've just shrunk a gun and put it in her hand.
Kind of like if you it's told a 12-year-old draw a gun, and then you'd get something like that, like, because they don't use reference or anything. It's like, well, you kind of know it's sort of a gun. There's no handle popping out the bottom of her underneath.
So if you took her off the cover and just left him on there, it would be okay.
Yeah, I agree.
But they're sort of almost like they found this like sticker of a really badly drawn woman and just stuck it on the top of the cover. I don't know what's going on, and what's going on underneath the arm. That shadow underneath the arm is just like a horrible, dirty mark.
It's like there's someone's traced like a picture that you find on those bad fairground rides. You know, the ones that have, like, Terminator and Sarah Connor, and Freddy Krueger.
It looks like a drawing of a lady that you'd find in a crazy person's notebook.
Yeah. Now, what I will say about this book, obviously, Dan, you haven't looked at the inside, have you?
No.
Obviously, just browsing on Amazon, looking at it, the inside, I don't have a problem with the artwork, but it's so massively different to the style that is on the cover, like massively different in tone and sort of inks and stuff. It's it's good artwork. I think it's.
I would pick this comic up if I saw this on the shelf.
Yeah,
and I'd probably mutter under the breath, "Fucking hell," and I'd see what it was like inside. Then probably, it's completely different.
Oh yeah, it's not bad actually. There's a little bit of the fix about one of the pages
totally.
Yeah.
It's got a Steve Lieber kind of style and
like
energy.
Hawaiian
to it.
shirts and
Looking at Bond's right hand, he's got the gun, but if you look at the sleeve where the sleeve attaches to the hand, it looks like his hand's floating outside his suit because you can see through.
Yeah, what's happening to his other hand as well? Yeah,
there's like rendering on the other. You can see through the sleeve where his wrist should be. It's
what's her other arm doing? Is it just down by her side or something? It's just strange, isn't it?
Very odd.
I wonder if they said to her, "No, we need to sex that cover up. Can you add a woman?
Pop a lady on it."
Yeah.
I think if
also looks like he's got a scar on his face.
Yeah, I was wondering that if they scarred him up in the comics, got a big scar on it. But like, if you gave that to like an artist that really kind of knew his onions, you might be able to get away with this concept and look okay. But generally, it's quite a boring set up cover. It's just the two characters imposed in front of it, kind of like it looks like a tropical island setting. But
the colour's doing a lot of the hard lifting on this cover, by the way.
Oh god, yeah. I mean, if you that all got stripped out. I mean, there's literally I think the artist has inked the tops of some palm trees, and the rest of it behind, unless they've used color holds like colored over the lines. It's the colorist has put it all in. Maybe the artist is the colorist as well.
And if you look to the left of her head, right, which is, it just looks like dripping paint.
Yeah.
Close up in the left of her head where the red is, the orangey, dark orange is coming into the yellow. It looks like dripping red. Dripping paint. It doesn't look like a sunset, It's
got one of the things I don't like in digital art, and I've done it myself, but you have like hard shadows that you've used, and then you use like soft gradient blends. And the two of them just don't like. I mean, if you look on the shading on the left of her arm, you've got that subtle yellow, and then near her armpit, you've got like more of a hard cut shadow. Yeah. And it's just like the two of them, when you put them together, it doesn't gel. It doesn't look very good.
The color of her face and the color of her hair makes it look like she's just got some weird wig on.
Yeah, very bizarre.
It's we should say it's Frank Francavilla as well as the artist on that, who's a very well known cover artist, but he doesn't do himself credit with this one. I've got to be honest with you.
No, it's a bit, I mean, this one we went through, and this one absolutely stuck out. I was like, "Fucking hell!"
Yeah.
There was this one and another, the Transformers one with Hot Rod on the cover, and it was just
was that one of the collection ones?
Yeah, it was truly terrible. I mean, the other ones aren't very good in my opinion, but that one like really stuck out. With just this is not appealing at all. It's kind of like a pop art version of Rodimus Prime's like Head and Shoulders, looking directly out at the reader. And it was just, didn't like it.
Yeah.
But anyway, so that was my choice.
Yeah. So
there we go.
Yeah.
Bit of a moan about covers.
I think sometimes publishers, there's always the time crunch, isn't there, when it comes to putting out comics? But I don't know. Comic covers. Do you think they've suffered over the past few years?
Yeah, I think we just need to go back to telling stories rather than having these sort of striking, iconic images that just aren't, leading anywhere anymore.
Yeah,
aren't engaging enough.
Just clicking that link you sent, Tony, with about what it says about the vampire. Going back to the last page, it shows you that spoiler, and it's got the Buffy font at the end. It says continued in the Vampire Slayer issue 1. So they do have the rights to use that font, but they just decided not to do it.
Yeah.
Oh well.
There you go.
Fucking people.
Good. Have you got any covers you really hate too? Right in.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just kind of like trying to, when we started talking about this and we're sending each other the covers saying, look, here's another example of a character in front of a coloured background or a gradient background and nothing going on. Maybe perhaps storytelling covers aren't the thing nowadays.
Yeah, I think so. It's interesting though, like especially as my browse was from Comixology, and when you're scrolling down, the new releases are just also lumped with there's lots of like obviously manga stuff on there, but usually manga readers know what titles they're going to go for, so they'll go for those covers. But it's also like there's loads of just re-releases. For instance, there's loads of Sensational She-Hulk on there at the moment, like the old classic covers.
Yeah,
I'm seeing lots of classic covers, and earlier in April there was a whole heap of Dazzler books. That just got added to it. Full of classic covers. I mean, it made the browsing for new stuff more awkward because when you're looking for new comics, you got to go through a raft of.
It's like that on the apps, actually, mate. You get the out this week, and you have to sort of scroll through. I mean, and on the Marvel app, it's all been New Warriors. Some of the later issues.
They're bringing out the New Warrior stuff. So okay,
yeah.
Is that bedding the laying the groundwork for that new series that got kiboshed?
Oh yeah,
Daniel Kibblesmith.
Yeah,
they got magic internet gas.
That classic magic internet.
Was it magic internet gas?
It was something like that, wasn't it? Yeah.
I think a lot of when I talk about comic covers not being that great, a lot of my gripes are usually with the bigger two companies. There's just a lack of.
We're a bit more forgiving with small press, aren't we? I think.
Yeah. And I think certainly with a small press title, you can't always have that. I mean, I do like it when people put on those story bits, like we were saying. Who will survive, but I think they do need them in the sort of bigger two publishers, just for like you say, those people that come back every week, so they know where they are. And
this week one of the Avengers will die. Stuff like that. You need that stuff. It keeps us all engaged and going to them and picking them up. And it's another picture of fucking Catwoman's arse.
Yeah, and a lot of the problem, the boring ones I have that I always scroll over. Sorry to say, it's the Batman ones. Batman covers are they're either too busy or they're just the same dark. Nonsense.
It's got to be like an uphill struggle for someone to do a Batman cover nowadays because so much kind of it's been done.
What you do
so
is
much.
you find out what's happening in the story and you do a cover about it without any spoilers. It's not. It's
That's
what
a bit radical thinking, Tony.
I know, yeah.
You mad lad.
Yeah.
But with those sort of publishers not pushing the boat out, there's also a raft of seeing a lot of the time I'm seeing some fantastic covers like from Image. I see a fantastic cover and my brain always goes, searches it to see who published it. Do you know what I mean? And more often than not, like some of the really striking ones are like from Image, or like you get some Aftershock ones. Certainly Vault, especially as well. They've got some great covers going on there. So that
it's not fucking rocket science. Make the cover of the comic about what's happening in the comic.
In the comic,
it's not fucking.
I was going to mention the Shoutout, but we did the Never Own Anything Captain America one. And
that was great,
I struggled to pick the cover I was going to pick for that because they were so good and they were so on point to what was happening in the comic.
And that rocked on that storyline.
Yeah.
It was the one, Vince, where he takes over. You get John Walker taking over.
I thought it was going to be Catwolf.
No, we do mention that though. But that story rocks on for two and more years. And each cover keeps you going. And it's the story. We're interested in the stories. That's what we're interested in.
Yeah. As Walker goes more and more off the rails, and you think, "Oh fucking hell, where's this going to go?" And
You're waiting. Holding up a dead body in one of the covers.
Cap's coming back. This, but it's like, how is it going to come around? And
one of them, he's about to be lynched. And you think, "Fuck, what they're going to hang Captain America in this issue?" That's what it's about.
Pretty daring, isn't it?
Yeah.
What about that? Is before that run, but like when Mike Zeck did the cover with Cap, black background, and he's like firing an Uzi off.
Yeah,
you're like bloody hell.
Or the one with Deadlock with Cap in his sights.
Yeah.
That one. You think, wow, it's about shooting. What's happening?
Captain America's going to die.
Yeah. No, it's not. it's almost clickbait. It's what people now would say, this is clickbait. Well, it's not. It's just promoting a comic.
Well, that's what the cover should be.
A cover has to be clickbait.
It has to buy bait. That's what it is. To make a buy.
Well, the thing is, if I'm buying digital, I'm clicking on it. So fucking get me to look in.
Yeah.
You know?
In this issue, you see Catwoman's anus. You know, it's like that. That's what I want to click.
Pardon?
Yeah.
I mean, that would probably be DC's biggest selling fucking issue for quite some time.
Well, they did it with Batman's cock, didn't they? Do you remember?
Yeah, that's brilliant. I love that someone worked it out. The size of it, like using that maths,
Jesus
they like
Christ.
correlate the different sides. Well,
Just
if
think of the
Batwoman's
good...
so and so, yeah, Batman's so and so tall and Catwoman's so and so tall. That makes his knob this size. Oh, great!
Just think of all the good that could have been done in the world by that person that spent that time thinking about...
I'll tell my little analogy I made about the Amazon Comixology site as it is now. It's like the IKEA design of websites. You know, the way you go in their store and you have to fucking trudge around the entire fucking thing to find...
Snake your way around every little fucking drawers until you get to what you want.
Yeah.
Then you don't find it, and then you think, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
I'll just have a hot dog at the end.
It's terrible. I mean, the reading experience I had when I used it last wasn't bad on
I don't mind the Kindle reading experience. I don't mind it actually.
But it's they're just making it hard work to actually buy the fucking books.
I just ain't got time for it in my life, man. It's fucking, I'm just not doing on it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not bother.
But yeah, let us know what you think about what we've ranted about here, because I think sometimes comics you need to do better for the people, especially these publishers. There are talented people making books for you.
Yeah,
like if you give them give them everything they need to sell these books, then you won't be cancelling titles every 3 months.
Make them nice things to buy. People want to buy them.
That Spider-Woman lasted till 21 issues.
That's pretty good.
For Marvel, that's fantastic, isn't it?
It's got to be doing something, right?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I like the ones where they start off and they go, then it gets announced, this is actually a mini-series one.
Yeah. I think when I was looking back at that, the covers for that Spider-Woman series as well, fantastic artwork for all of them. But sometimes I think you have to think about the design of your character and what they're doing from issue to issue. Because if your character's front and center, especially a character that's wearing such strong red, you've got to mix it up, haven't you? Because otherwise, and Batman's the same. It's just the same colors. You just can see the same thing over and over again, and the brain gets used to just seeing the same thing over and over again. So it just looks formulaic.
Yeah.
Even if sometimes you look at these covers and think, oh no, they're actually hitting someone, or they're jumping out of a window, or they're doing this. Sometimes they do look similar, just purely because of the design of the character that the series is.
Yeah.
You don't have that, and I think that's a solo series problem. You don't necessarily have that with like an X-Men, for instance, because you got more of a palette to play with, haven't you?
Yeah, load of characters.
Yeah. But when it's a solo character, I think you've definitely got to be careful about if you're going to have your character front and center, have a think about putting them into places that is actually visually exciting, rather than just standing there on the edge of a fucking building next to a gargoyle. Anyway, so that was our grumpy old man rant of May 2022.
But I'm glad that prophecy from that recommendation from Sam Webster totally turned into.
Yeah, that's what people want. Old blokes moaning.
Well, the thing is, hopefully, I'm sure all our listeners know that when you're browsing through, you think, oh, that's not a very good cover. Sometimes take another look at it and think, why isn't it a very good cover?
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, it's not because of the artwork. But there's something about it that's...
Especially for people who are making their own comics. There's a lot of people do listen to this too.
You know, bringing it back around to the small press, Rory was getting feedback on his cover.
Oh, that's right, yeah.
And he's come across something... that I've had when you put something up for feedback, and then you get half a dozen people say they like it, half the people doesn't say you don't, and you think, oh bloody hell, what am I going to do with this? You try something else, and then you get a load more people saying, no, that was good, oh, I preferred that one, or I'm not sure about this one, and you feel like you're going mad because you're getting so much input that you're kind of not sure what to go with. It's a tricky one, so my kind of heart was going out to Rory there when he was kind of trying over and over and over to get
he got there in the end, though. He came up with something quite nice on his own, didn't he? Because we sort of said this and that, and then he extrapolated into. Yeah, by the way, Rory Donald, Reach Illustration, go and buy his comics. He's very good.
He put up his final version, and I was like, "Yep, you got it there. You got to it."
Yeah, no, it was good. I'm looking forward to that book.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I think that counts as the first official shout out of the show.
Mm.
So, what shout outs do we have this week, gents?
I've got two.
I got one.
Congratulations to Bald, the short film made John Tucker's comic, which won the best Welsh short film at the Wales
excellent.
Film Festival. Nice work. Well deserved. All down to John. And one of our regular guests, Lucy Sullivan, we've had her on 2 or 3 times, of Barking and Black Hammer fame, has now got a Patreon. Patreon's the hotness. Get over and have a nose at patreon.com/Lucy Sullivan. There you go. They're my two.
Awesome. Dan, you got any?
Yes, I do. My first one is Damsel from D.I.S.T.R.E.S.S. We've got 22 days to go when you hear this. Damsel in Distress is an elves and espionage comic book written by Andrew Clemson, but by Mauricio Mora and lettering editing by Hassan Otsamain Elahu. It's the campaign to the final 2 issues 4 and 5 of Volume 1, wrapping up the first arc and opening up our story to further adventures. So that has already smashed its target. Still obviously looking for more funding. It's a great fun ride. I highly recommend it. Go check that one out now. And I finally got my fucking hands on that G.I. Joe.
Oh, you got it in the end, did you?
Yeah.
Oh, well done.
So fuck you, that comic company that on eBay that said.
Does that count as a shout out?
Yeah,
I think so. I think so.
Fuck them.
They did that thing, you pre-order it, and then as soon as it was, it's been dispatched. And I was like, I'm getting fucked here, I know it. And then, it must have got lost in the post, mate. It was never in the post. Fucking liar.
Yeah.
But I said that and tweeted it at Freddie Williams because he said, I've got art in this. That was the reason I backed it. And I was like, oh, fuck, I didn't realize this existed. And he goes, oh, well done, I'm getting a copy. So double fucking middle finger to you.
Where'd you get it from in the end?
I got it off another eBay sale, I think private sale. I had to pay over the odds because they bought it to make a profit. So that's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I'll give you a review of that next week if it turns up.
Nice.
Cool. Nice one.
Nice. 28th and 29th of May this year, Lawless Comic Con coming to the DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel in Bristol. lawlesscomiccon.co.uk. Saturday tickets are sold out and there are no tickets available on the door. But weekender and Sunday tickets are still available. So if they're on sale now, so definitely check that out. Yeah, you might see a couple of us there.
We're going to likely be on there on the Saturday. Is the
on the
plan,
Saturday,
guys, isn't it?
Yeah. Just making ourselves a nuisance.
We'll be there as press, not as tabling. So
yeah.
Coverage for it.
Yeah.
Press.
So basically, we'll be walking around for a bit. We'll be walking around for a bit and then going, oh, my back hurts. Let's have a cup of tea.
Well, let's come find somewhere nice to have a bite to eat.
Yeah.
Well, we actually, when we went to the 40th, I did an article on Vanguard about it. I did a blog post, photos.
Yeah, I'll probably do something.
We talked about it non-stop on the show. We talked about. We still fucking talk about it now.
Yeah.
So they got the money's worth.
5 years later.
Yeah.
So if you want to see the likes of John Wagner, Glenn Fabry, Kent Langley, Dan Cornwall, Dave Kendall, John Higgins, Ian Richardson, Karen Holloway, Keck W, Lee Carter, Lou Stringer, Tommy Eglinton, Stephen Austin, Steve McManus, Sally Jane Hurst, and Brian Bolland.
Yes.
Then go to lawlesscomiccon.co.uk.
I think Simon Davis is going to have some of his recent art for sale on his table. I own a page of his Slain series. It's very fucking reasonable. Bearing in mind, he's a dude who's got paintings in the National Portrait Gallery. You can buy a page of him for less, just double figures. It's fucking well worth it. Yeah. Yeah.
National Portrait Gallery.
Yeah, he's a member of it, isn't he? I think he's got a couple of pictures up in there. Yeah, and these are like proper painted pages, man. Thistlebone, I think he's selling pages from.
I'll get on that.
The one he was doing with Tom Eglinton when we did the Lawless Drink and Draw last year. Yeah.
Nice. And a past guest, Nathan Kelly, Feral Kingdom Studios. He's got a new comic on the way.
Right, okay.
I'm subscribed to his newsletter, and he says, I know I've been MIA for a while, but I'm back now and have some brand new content to share with you that's 100% free on his Substack. It's a new short comic, NFA, which is extra special to him because we had a great conversation, Nathan, about his work, and just at that time he was sort of sort of playing around with writing his own scripts and getting involved in that a lot more of the process. But on NFA, the first time as a creator, he's got all the hats in the creation process. And
I'm hopefully going to see him. I remember saying to him, I'll see him at Heroes, so I must reach out to him again.
Yeah.
Because he lives near there, doesn't he? He lives in North Carolina, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely go to feralkingdomstudios.substack.com and sign up for that, because it's kicking off on the 11th of May.
Okay.
From then on, yeah.
So what kind of Substack is that? Is that a pay-for Substack or is it a free one?
Oh, it's a free one, I believe.
I'll sign up for that.
You just go to that page, subscribe.
I'll tell you what, mate. Note to inform you. Get the Substack app on your phone.
Okay.
Because rather than just coming in as an email, you get it in as like a post, and you can go. It's a bit like the Patreon app. You can just go through and read the Substacks that you're subscribed to. It's a lot easier than getting them on emails. I much prefer it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, Dan, you might want to check this out, because it's called NFA, but the logo says New Fucking Alpha, and the cover is someone that looks like they're in riot gear pointing two guns towards the reader.
That's what I'm talking about.
Peak Butcher.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that looks great, but obviously he just wants as many people to check it out as possible. So check that out.
Good stuff.
Right then, from a load of shout outs to a load of recommends, I guess. Who wants to go first?
Go on, you go first, Lee. I don't know what. We haven't chatted about what we're doing this week. I don't know what we're doing.
Have we just got? I've just got one.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I've only got one, and it's one that some people have probably read, and we talked about recently. Talked about earlier in the show, and I just want to put another shout out to my omnibus of the new Teen Titans.
Okay.
Marv Wolfman, George Perez, Romeo Tangal. Because obviously with the George Perez news, I'm sure I'm not alone in a lot of people picking up some of their favourite comics of his and reading through them.
What issues is that, dude?
This is the 1 to 8.
Okay.
Plus.
Is that a soft cover then? That's like a trade paperback.
It's a soft cover, yeah. First 8 issues, the classic title, together with the team's debut in DC Comics Presents number 26.
Yes.
And it's got an introduction, and that's how the book starts with that issue as well.
Yeah.
Obviously, I haven't read all of this, but I tell you what, this was a rediscovery of quite possibly 2 of my favourite issues of all time.
Does that go up to the Doom Patrol bit? The Doom Patrol are dead kind of storyline thing? Is that right?
It finishes. Spoilers, people. There's some wonderful sort of pin-ups and stuff in the back as well. All there. The last one is, it says the next issue is going to be Peril of the Puppeteer. Well, we've all been worried about puppeteers in our time, haven't we?
Yeah, Puppeteer of the Penis.
Number 8 is A Day in the Lives, and what a day it is. So I don't think it's a Doom Patrol.
There's an early, can't remember which one the Doom Patrol one is, and it's quite early. It's before the Brother Blood stuff, isn't it? I think that. Yeah, and before the Deathstroke stuff.
Yeah, we've got Trigon the Terribles in it.
Right.
We've got the Fearsome Five are in it.
Oh, yeah, I like them. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's lots of stuff going on.
Who's the weird little one in that group that Gareth Hopkins was going on about the other day? The little person.
I just saw a picture of him. He's a weird little fella.
Like Wingbot or something. I can't remember his name now.
Yeah. But no, I mean, it's a classic book full of classic stories. But when I said I discovered some cool stuff, issues 1 and 2 of the new Teen Titans are just some of my favourite comics of all time. Because issue 2 is the Deathstroke the Terminator.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Yeah.
Is that when he's got both eyes in that one?
No, he's got an eye. I believe. Hang on. He's got like a monocle at some point. You never really see.
Okay.
See his eye.
Right.
But this was obviously the team getting together, and the second issue was the Terminator. Today, the Terminator. But it's also, there was a character in it called the Ravager.
Yeah, that's his daughter, isn't it?
It's his son.
Yeah.
Son, sorry.
His son in issue 2, who basically is on the cover and almost takes out the Teen Titans, but then spoilers for a comic.
Yeah,
many years ago.
Yeah, that family dynamic is playing out in a current thing in DC.
Yeah, he's essentially he was very intelligent but his enhanced power was also sucking the life out of him. So it gets a lot done through the whole issue. But I obviously, it's absolutely when you read a book and it gives you that whole God, I remember this. Do you know what I mean? It's like listening to when a song comes on, you're like, yeah, it's a memory, isn't it? And reading that and seeing some of the panels, this is what comics do like nothing else as well. The importance of just a single panel to your life. Do you know what I mean? Because there were certain moments, that there were certain panels I was like, my God. I remember staring at that panel for ages. Yeah. Even like it's not always like a hugely dynamic thing. There's just some absolutely stunning panel descriptions. There's an explosion there. I mean, these were books as well where 8-9 panels a page. Yeah, none of it takes away from it.
In, doesn't it? Yeah, everyone's talking as well.
And they're all vertical panels. There's lots of talking going on, but you follow it. Moves at a hell of a pace. When Ravager first turns up, in these days it would probably be a whole splash page or something like that. This is just. It's almost it's like a third of the page, but it's a vertical panel. And the amount of times I drew that, when I was a kid,
really,
the way he was sort of stepping out. Because I just thought Ravagers just looked so cool when I was a kid. And, Deathstroke was obviously naturally cool.
Yeah.
He just sort of always is. But
it's got a little bit creepy as we went along, didn't it?
Yeah.
With him. Yeah.
But, just the way it's shot, just the action, and these guys absolutely beating the hell out of the Teen Titans. But there's also a bit of pathos at the end, the way it all shakes out. And
well, mate, I remember buying those and like desperately trying to get the ones I missed, the monthlies, and going into the Westminster Comic Mart in, Parliament Square and buying Central Comic Mart and buying them there. And that was such a great series. Do you remember the one they did, the DNA Agents crossover? Do you remember the Eclipse series, DNA Agents?
Yes.
DNA Agents. They kind of did a sneaky crossover where they didn't call them it, but it was clearly the team. Yeah. Oh, so much going on in that series. So good.
There's such a beautiful moment in this issue too as well, when you have this massive fight and Starfire, just immensely powerful, just blasts Ravager with her energy blast, and it takes him out, and that's when Deathstroke, it just immediately looks like an evil villain, but immediately shows layers. Do you know what I mean? He stops the fight to go to the, and that's what takes out Ravager, because his power he's dying because his powers have sucked the life out of him, and he's like, did we do it? Did we kill the Titans? And Raven does that. She actually says she shows an illusion to the dying kid of all the Titans just dead. So the last thing he sees is that they actually defeated the Titans, even though they didn't, because everyone was alive. It's so powerful.
To me, Starfire was the same as Storm. There was very saucy. I mean, like Byrne was drawing Storm and he was drawing Starfire, and I think, both of them pretty saucy ladies,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just great stuff. Just, at times like these, rediscover the creators you love, because it won't take much to make you realise why you loved them in the first place. So New Teen Titans. This was actually a book that I didn't have for years. I've had it a couple of years now, but I remember being so excited about reading this when it got delivered.
They did it in that sort of Panini Library edition thing. Do you remember we all bought them cheaply, didn't we? They were selling them for a couple of quid a time.
Yeah,
they did one of them as well.
This one is when DC Comics had that horrible logo that was the D that was peeling back on a C.
Yeah.
It was around that time they did this, but it's a lovely volume of just nothing but quality. So there you go. That's mine.
Nice.
Who would like to go next?
D?
Mine is not a comic, but a tool to help you make comics.
You saucy devil.
Which is a bit off.
I mentioned a backhander. How much are you getting for this?
Well, this is an outside contract, so it doesn't fall in. It's I mentioned this a good couple of weeks, maybe a month or so ago, but the program Magic Poser, they were changing the way they were doing their running their app or service. Magic Poser was like essentially a free service where you downloaded the app and you could set up like 3D figures and poses and scenes, and it was free. All you had to do was pay for like additional models or bits and bobs that other people made, and you could import them in, move stuff around, pose stuff, do the lights, take a screen grab of it, save it a JPEG, and you could use it within your comic, like as reference or draw over the top, or however you wanted to do it. But they said, right, we're going to change this. There's still going to be a free version where you're going to add limited stuff on it. They're going to do a one-time fee, which I think is like $10, which you get access to tons of stuff to use. Or there's like a subscription model you do each month, which essentially you get every single model they do, everything, the premium stuff. You can also export models created within the program and use it in other programs. So you could export it as like a 3ds file and import that into Photoshop and use it as a 3D file and that. So there's a lot of play with it. It's very handy, kind of like if you're doing kind of group shots and stuff, if you want to get like import a load of characters, pose them up, and you can save them in your library. At any point you can go back, take a look. The camera, you can do like field of view and perspective stuff on it. So if you want to kind of do the fist flying at the viewer and think, well, once if I push the perspective on this, and the fist obviously gets really big and the character gets smaller as they disappear into the distance. So it's a decent little artist tool. If you go to magicposer.com, they've got a bit about it there. I can't find anything on the pricing stuff, but it's a real nice little program, a free app to download, or you can pay for the service. I've got it on my iPad and I use it when I'm making my pages. I've noticed on the site there's a Magic Poser Lite which you can click at and you can use in the browser, and you get a 3D man that you can pose up, move him around, change the lights.
It's sexist, but
yeah, there's no lady there, unfortunately. But yeah, you can kind of like have a little look and see if this program's for you.
Nice.
Tell a lie, you can add, there's loads of characters you can add.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anime girl, anime boy, woman, man, woman, girl, geometry, spheres. But this is only the browser version. But on the app, there's absolutely tons of stuff on there. It is more aimed towards manga and anime kind of stuff, but it can be quite easily retooled to
a good start for 10, isn't it?
Yeah, make it whatever you want. Like, can be handy for working out tricky crowd scenes or pushing perspective. So I'd recommend trying that.
Crowd scenes.
So yeah, give that a go. I'd highly recommend it.
Nice. Cool. Tony.
Mine is, as I alluded to earlier, a bit of a joining of comics and poetry. It's A Hunter's Tale. The poem was written originally by Charles Kermit Clayton, art by Ryan Clayton, published this year by Elephant Eater Comics, which I believe is out of Michigan in the States. It was originally funded through a crowdfunding campaign. It was cunningly placed next to the card machine and the cash till of Gosh. It's a little mini comic. It's actually $8, which I think is a little bit expensive for it, but it's a little mini comic. I'm quite a poetry fan, actually. I buy and consume poetry, quite a lot monthly, probably. But we've seen it occasionally. So you do occasionally see that combination. I mean, a lot of good comics do have a poetry, element to them a lot of the time. So I was looking up a few that I've spoken about. We had Over the Line by Tom Humberston a few years ago. Linda Barry's done one. So it happens sometimes. It happens less obviously, I think, sometimes than other. And I think the rhythm and the way that you can visualize stuff in your brain with poetry aids to the speed and the process in reading a comic. I think sometimes there's definitely a parallel, to sort of, there's a rhythm to a poem, isn't there? And there's a rhythm to reading a comic sometimes. Yeah. And I think it's interesting, like a visual prompt, almost, So this is the brainchild of a guy called Ryan Clayton, as I said. He's the nephew of the writer who was his granddad. He was a blue-collar dude. He was a railway dispatcher and also a poet, and he passed away in 1999, and this is kind of a tribute to him. It's a fun little colour mini-comic. Tells a story of how Charles Kermit Clayton wakes up one early morning, and as the images show on the page, so the poetry accompanies it, and he packs a bag and a flask, and he heads out with his rifle and goes out into the woods and walks, many miles out into the woods into the country with the intention of, he was a hunter and intention of killing something. And as he enters, he's wandering through the woods, he's suddenly presented by this stag in front of him. And almost out of nowhere appears this stag. And it's interesting because there's that moment suddenly where he's, it's almost like a life or death thing, but out of the blue, the stag sort of communicates with him. And this is really lovely the way he puts it. He says, "Are you gaunt from hunger? I've been on a winter's day. Are your little ones gaunt too? And your mate, does she need her food? And for the babe whose month's only away, if that be true, then take my life. I'll gladly give you and those you love all that I have." And it's like, it's really sort of nice moment where there's almost this stag is saying, look, are you hunting for food so you can survive? Which is, let's face it, not the reason most hunters do this, isn't it? And he's presented with this decision there and then in the woods as to whether he should kill this stag or not. And I won't ruin it because I think it's worth getting. And it's done really well. I mean, you can probably guess, as I'm pretty much a lifelong vegetarian, why I like this. But it's the joining of 3 generations. The grandson has done this book about his grandfather, and his grandfather was this poet, and it's sort of to honour him. And it's lovely, really nice. It ends up with you can read the poem as just prose in the back. And also there's a photograph of him when he was a kid playing in the yard with his granddad, who's sort of a little bit doddery at that point, sort of following him around, looking after him. I really liked it. It's from Elephant Eater Comics, so elephanteater.com. You can go and buy a copy. Although if you're, there's one right next to the counter. It's about the size of 2 playing cards. It's about the size of it. But yeah, nice little thing to read. I read it in about, less than 10 minutes, but nice moment. Yeah, it's my one.
Nice. There you go, folks. Plenty of different things for you to check out in the coming week. Be sure to seek out every single one of those books, and from any of our sort of guests or etc. And if you're a new listener to the show,
we're sorry.
We're sorry. We're not always this spicy. We're not always this spicy. I joke. Of course we're this spicy, but hopefully constructive at the same time. We're not just tearing things down for the sake of tearing it down.
No, try to be constructive at least.
Yeah, totally. Because comics are awesome and they deserve the best. And we are grateful that you listened to this episode. So if there's anything you want us to talk about on upcoming shows, or if you've got any charity initiatives, we're always up for shouting out about them. If you've got anything, if there's anything, any comic events you want us to put a shout out for. And this is worldwide, by the way. This isn't just UK. No matter where you are, if you want us to know something that you want us to shout out, we will do it in the shout out. So there's several different ways you can get in touch with us. You can email us awesomecomicspod@gmail.com. Follow us on Twitter @theawesomepod. If you do the Book of Faces, go to facebook.com/awesomecomicspodcast. There's also the community group Awesome Comics Talk on there, and there is an Awesome Comics Podcast Slack group, of which there are many channels, many discussions, and a lot of people selling books.
Yeah, I bought a few this week.
Me too.
There's some good stuff on there.
Yeah, it's a very dangerous place for me, from what Dan's been saying. So, and thank you for listening to us, whether it is on the website awesomecomics.podbean.com. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, subscribe and leave a review. It helps get the word out about the show, everything we talk about on a weekly basis, as well as shines a light on the creators because of algorithms and stuff like that. I don't know how it all works. That's just saying Apple Podcasts is as technical as I get, and I've only just gotten the hang of saying that. If you listen to us on other networks like Spotify, Amazon, Stitcher, Podnose, Podknife, what other networks are we on, Tony?
You're on Pod. They've cancelled Squirrel Girl. Thanks, Tories.
Sorry, that got me. Yeah. It's it's not when he does filthy sort of ones. That doesn't catch me. It's when he does ones like that just completely get me.
Social satire.
Yeah. But wherever you heard us, we appreciate you listening to us and stick with us. There's a whole back catalogue of episodes to pick from, and we're not like a new weekly news show. Just pick what you want to listen to, and hopefully you'll get a laugh and some entertainment out of it. Our guests are great. We bring absolutely nothing to the table usually, so
That's true.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Come on, let's not because
We've got to talk about who we're having next week. We haven't sorted it out yet, have we?
No, you're right.
Don't let them know what.
Oh, yeah.
What
Peek behind
happens
the curtain
behind the Bloody hell! Everyone think we're the great and powerful odds. They don't know we're just a fiddly old man. Fiddly old man? What? What?
Where are we going with this? Hang on a minute.
I'm just an old man.
It's like a
fiddling behind a
self-revelation. We need
curtain.
to have a talk. Yeah. Show me on the doll. Show me on the doll.
It's going off the rails, so it's time to say thank you for listening. Where can people find us online, etc.? Tony,
Neveronanything.com. There you go.
Dan,
You can find me on Patreon / Vanguard Comic. Something's going on my throat. Excuse me. And you can read Vanguard at vanguardcomic.com. It's getting shit's going down. So
Yeah.
yes,
Good
like
man.
a car bonnet.
what? Anyway,
Get on that like a car
oh
bonnet.
yeah, I see.
Okay.
Yeah, I see what you did there. Very
Car
trendy.
bonnets.
You can find me on social media at Jester Diablo, and thank you again for listening to us. Have it wherever you are in the world. We hope you're happy, healthy, doing well. I love you. Dan loves you. Tony,
No,
Still no love.
still no love, but one day,
I'll never confess my love.
one day, listener, you know it and I know it that he does love you, but he just
I will make love to you.
he can't. What? Anyway.
Was going to get into some Boys to Men there.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Their second album is an absolute banger. And Motown Philly.
Oh, the band. I thought you meant something else.
Yeah. Oh, God. Before I start singing The End of the Road, it's time to say goodbye.
What's he doing? What's happening?
I started him off on that earworm.
God. Have a great week, everyone.
See you during the week.
Read loads of comics. Make loads of comics. And as always, what should they do?
Stay awesome.
Stay awesome.
Bye,
Nailed
everyone.
it. Bye.
See ya.